Week 10 of TXN Sports World NFL Friday is on the air. Hello, friends. Anthony Florio here alongside good old MF Michael Fletcher. We are maybe awaiting the presence of Michael Bullock. If he comes in, we'll catch him up on what he missed. If not, then hopefully we'll have him back with us tomorrow night for the Cerebral Smack Talk. Week 10 of the NFL season, of course, got underway last night with a rather meh Thursday night football game on Amazon Prime Video featuring the Carolina Panthers squaring off against the Chicago Bears. Chicago Bears winning the game by a score of 16-13. Tyson Bagent once again starting in the place of injured Justin Fields. 20 of 33 for 162. That's all he did. Deontay Foreman, 80 yards rushing and a touchdown. Receiving core, not much of anything. Defense recorded 3 sacks. Jones and Ngakoue and Green had the sacks, and that's pretty much it for Chicago. Bryce Young, 21 of 38, 185 for Carolina. Chuba Hubbard led the team with 23 yards rushing. Not going to get it done. Low-scoring game, to say the least. Nothing of note on defense for Carolina. It went exactly as you expected. 2 meh teams, low-scoring game. But the Chicago Bears picking up the win. They improved to 3-7 on the year. Carolina drops to 1. Chicago will be on the road next week on November 19th as part of Week 11. They'll be on the road against the leaders of the NFC North right now, the Detroit Lions. And the Carolina Panthers on that same day also will be, they'll be at home. They'll be going back home to Charlotte, but they got to take on another tough team of their own, and that's the Dallas Cowboys. So pretty much exactly how it was supposed to go. Chicago winning 16-13, so not much more to say. MF, quick thought before we get into our Week 10 slate. It went pretty much as planned. I mean, it was a gaunt game, low scoring. Somebody had to win, and Chicago did win 16-13. Ugly, low-scoring game.
It was a very ugly, low-scoring game. Only one offensive touchdown in the entire game. That is, like we said, it was very lackluster, lackadaisical. You could say whatever you want to say. Not the greatest game in the world, and like we said, it wasn't anything that would have made us say, remotely close to it. It is what it is. So Anthony, it is yours. Let's just move on to the slate of games.
Don't worry about next Thursday night, MF. Ooh, don't worry about next Thursday.
Oh no. I was talking to one of the guys with the 2184 crew, and he was like, "What did Roger Goodell do something to Jeff Bezos? Did Bezos do something where maybe he hung out with Goodell's wife and Goodell found out and got pissed about it? That's why he threw him that crap game." I was like, nah. Goodell probably like, you know what? I'm sorry for that game. I know you're probably mad. Why don't I give you the Cincinnati Bengals and the Baltimore Ravens next week? Yeah.
And MF, that's not even the game of the week next week.
No, it's not.
Can you say cross flex?
Oh, yeah.
Let's just say Super Bowl rematch.
Yes.
You want a cross flex?
I think that should, regardless of what the outcome could be, that automatically could be our game. That easily could be the game.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No question about that. It's a Super Bowl rematch. Yes, it's NFC and AFC, but the thing is, it's not on Fox. It's ESPN, Monday Night Football. So It's eligible for cross flex if we want it.
Yeah.
But what a great number 2 right behind. So, but nonetheless, all right, I got everything up and running, ready to go. So here we go. Let's get into the 13 remaining games of week number 10. We got 4 teams on bye this week. And those teams are, in no particular order, the Kansas City Chiefs, the Los Angeles Rams, MF's Miami Dolphins, and the Philadelphia Week. So MF can chill for this week. No pressure, at least for this week, MF. So nothing to worry about there. So let's move on to the first game of the week. It's the final international game, as this game will emanate from the, I do believe it will once again be from the Deutsche Bank Park in Frankfurt, Germany. And I'm just double checking really quick to is the Deutsche Bank Park in the Indianapolis Colts from the Deutsche Bank Park in Frankfurt, Germany. You can find this game on the NFL Network, and it's pretty much the same crew that called last week's game with the Dolphins and the Chiefs. The only difference is Dan Orlovsky will not be a part of this game. It will be Rich Eisen, Jason McCourty, Sarah Walsh, and Stacey Dales. They will be in Frankfurt for this one. Indianapolis opening up as a 1.5-point favorite. And New England leads the all-time series 49-29. Their last meeting was last year in New England. New England won 26-3. Colts last beat the Patriots the year before, 2021, 27-17 on a Saturday night in Indianapolis. That was a big game, as we all recall. So the last time the Colts won at the Patriots, where the Patriots were the home team, it was in 2006 on a Sunday Night Football game. MF and I should know we had it. And then later that same season, they only gave us one of the greatest, if not the greatest, AFC championship game of all time. So, but oh, how the mighty have fallen. 20 years ago, this would have been the game of the week. Nowadays, it's the second to worst game of the week. There's actually one game that's actually worse than this. So this is the number 7 game of the week, just to let you fine folks know. So let's get into it. This is the Patriots' 4th international regular season game as they beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 35-7 on October 25th of 2009. And the Rams, the then St. Louis Rams, 45-7, October 28th of 2012. Both of those were at the Cathedral of Soccer, Wembley Stadium in London. They also beat the then Oakland Raiders 33-8 on November 19th of 2017 in Mexico City. As for Indianapolis, this is only their second regular season international game. They lost to the Jacksonville Jaguars 30-27 in 2016. There will be 3 or fewer total touchdowns scored between both teams. The Patriots are 31st in points per game and have scored more than 17 points just twice this season. And while the Colts have been scoring at an impressive clip, 26 points a game, the Patriots' tendency is to sell out to stop the run. That means Colts running backs Jonathan Taylor and Zach Moss could be in for a long day. Several teams have taken a similar approach against Indianapolis lately, and quarterback Gardner Minshew has committed a concerning number of turnovers when asked to carry the heavier load. Michael Pittman Jr. has 6 games with 8+ receptions. He can become the second Colts player with 7 such games in a season, joining Hall of Famer Marvin Harrison, who had 12 in 2002 and 7 in 2001. The X factor is Patriots wide receiver Juju Smith-Schuster. He's tied for 84th out of 86 wideouts in open score, drastically underperforming Jacoby Myers, the player the Patriots effectively chose Smith-Schuster over. With Kendrick Bourne out for the rest of the season, New England simply has to get more out of its 2023 free agent signing. The Patriots' offensive line ranks 9th in run block win rate, which bodes well for Ramondre Stevenson, who has scored 14 or more fantasy points in 3 of his last 4 games. The Indianapolis defense allows the 5th most fantasy points per game to running backs. Patriots are 1-10 against the spread in their last 11 games as underdogs. Quarterback Mac Jones is 4-14 against the spread in his career as an underdog, including 1-13 against the spread in his last 14 starts in that role. The FPI barely going with Indianapolis here, 52%. That's it. Only 52% going with Indianapolis by an average of 0.8 points. But nonetheless, I'm going with the Indianapolis Colts to win this game. Low scoring game. I'm going to say 17-13. Indianapolis defeats New England in Frankfurt, Germany. So not much more to say on this. MF, like I said, 15, 20 years ago, when you hear Colts Patriots, that almost automatically was the game of the week. And we used to have so much fun with this rivalry. Yeah, not so much now.
Yeah, unfortunately, not so much. And the thing is that both teams are just going through, the hard times. Of course, Indianapolis at the very beginning had a dynamic, exciting young quarterback named Anthony Richardson. He went down first with the concussion, then he got a major injury, and now he's done for the season. So obviously, it was a little bit of a heartbreaker there. As far as New England goes, look, a lot of people were talking about maybe playoff bound for New England. Maybe a wild card. Because of the fact that you had the AFC East was without a doubt the most dominating going in, the most talked about division going in with everything going on. But New England just have not found their identity offensively. They look so bad. And like we said, there's been a lot of rumblings about Bill Belichick and his future. And I just don't see them recovering from it. I'm sorry to say, but um I do have the Indianapolis Colts winning as well. Nothing more to say. So Anthony, it's yours.
All right. So with that, we get into our 1 o'clock slate. We only have 6 1 o'clock games, just 6. Imagine that. But let me tell you, when it comes to the 1 o'clock slate, I honestly don't see one bad game in here. All these games look pretty damn good, especially the first 3. That's all I'm going to say. These next 3 games, we're going to have a lot of fun with. Cross flexing has come back to bite us in the ass here. This is a game you would normally see on CBS. But oh boy, Fox, the cross flexing god, smiled on you boys big time. You got what I consider the game of the week on our end. This would have been perfect for us, but nonetheless, what a matchup here. Big implications in the AFC North in this one. The Cleveland Browns squaring off against the Baltimore Ravens, M&T Bank Stadium in Baltimore. And on the call for this game, it'll be Kenny Albert, Jonathan Vilma, and Shannon Spake. And the spread favors Baltimore. Baltimore opening up as a 6.5-point favorite. I don't recall if this is their first or their second. I don't know if they've already met earlier this season, but just give me one moment here. Oh, they did play earlier this year. Yes, they did. This is their second meeting. They played back in week number 4, and Baltimore went into Cleveland and made themselves at home. They beat down Cleveland 28-3 in Cleveland. So Baltimore adds to their all-time series lead. I know for a fact Baltimore leads this all-time series. I just want to double-check and confirm. Oh, yeah, they lead this thing going away. Including that win, Baltimore now leads the all-time series 36-13. And last year, as we all know, both teams split. So let's not forget, Baltimore winning in Cleveland. Baltimore did that for the first time since 2020. Cleveland has not won in Baltimore since 2019. That was a 40-25 win. Baltimore has beaten Cleveland 3 straight times, including last year, 23-20 in Baltimore. So, MF, oh man, oh boy, did Fox, oh boy, they benefited from what a great cross flex for them. I mean, we would have killed to have had this game on our end, but what a big one for Fox though. Cleveland, Baltimore. All of a sudden, the AFC North looking like the best division in football right now, wouldn't you say?
Yes, absolutely. Cleveland, looking good. Currently holding one of the wild card spots, and it's because of their defense. I gotta say it. Garrett right now you could make an argument for him being the defensive player of the year. That's how good he's been. Miles Garrett has absolutely been a beast. Deshaun Watson, yeah, he's been inconsistent, up and down. Some games he's been in, other games he has not. When he's been there, they've looked good. But even that when he's not there, they've been pretty well. But you gotta talk about the Ravens right now. Super Bowl contender, best team in the NFL, and that's not just talking AFC. I'm talking the entire NFL. This is the team you do not want to see, you do not want to face. They're that good, that real, that dangerous. Lamar Jackson looks like an MVP candidate. The defense looks top notch. That was their biggest liability. They definitely fixed that during the offseason. The Baltimore Ravens right now, if you're pointing the proverbial gun at me and tell me, all right, Fletcher, who is the team that's coming out of the AFC going into the Super Bowl? I'll say this. It's not Buffalo. Unfortunately, to me, it's not Miami. It's not even Kansas City or Jacksonville. It's the Baltimore Ravens. They are right now my Super Bowl pick to make it out of the AFC, believe it or not. So, because of the defense, because of Lamar Jackson, because of the running game, because they've been averaging almost 300 yards rushing. That's how good they've been. So, the Ravens will win. They'll compete. They'll continue their hot streak. Anthony, it's yours.
Wow. All right. I'm certainly not gonna argue that. I mean, yeah, they are definitely one of the teams to beat, if not the team to beat right now in the AFC. And I got some notes here to back that up for you, MF. Great argument, and I'm gonna actually help you out with this. This is a matchup of the two best defenses in the NFL. The Browns, who lead the NFL in fewest yards allowed at 235, are looking to finish as the league's #1 defense for the first time since 1955. The Ravens, who top the NFL in fewest points allowed at about 14, have given up 9 touchdowns on 105 drives. 8.6%, almost 9%, their lowest rate since the 2000 Super Bowl team, 8.2%. Great. I think that'll definitely further your argument, MF. Despite playing a Ravens defense that ranks #1 in efficiency, quarterback Deshaun Watson will play his best game in a Browns uniform, giving Cleveland a chance to pull off the upset. Watson, who returned from a rotator cuff strain a week ago, has not produced a QBR game topping 80 in his Browns career. He will achieve that feat Sunday. Browns defensive end Myles Garrett is half a sack away from his 6th straight 10-sack season, which would extend the longest active streak in the NFL. He would be the 7th player with 6 or more straight seasons with 10-plus sacks since sacks became an official individual stat in 1982. The X factor is the Ravens' run blocking. The Ravens rank 4th in run block win rate this season and 2nd in EPA per design carry. That will be critical against a Browns defense that is arguably the best in the league against the pass, but not quite as strong stopping the run. As long as Baltimore can run the ball, it should be able to roll. Along with being the top 2 defenses in terms of points allowed a game, the Browns and Ravens are also in the top 3 for fewest points allowed a game. I don't think this matchup is going to be a fantasy bonanza. The Ravens are 4-1 against the spread this season against teams currently with winning records. The FPI loves Baltimore, 7% by an average of 7.1 points. I'm going with the Baltimore Ravens as well. Final score for me, I'm going to go 7-17. The Baltimore Ravens defeat the Cleveland Browns, keep their hot streak going. So, not much more to say. Let's move on to our next matchup. And this right here is our #2 game of the week. This game came in at #2 on our side of the ledger. And we got a good one here. An out-of-nowhere sleeper matchup, as it will feature the Houston Texans squaring off against the Cincinnati Bengals, Paycor Stadium, formerly Paul Brown Stadium in Cincinnati. And on the call for this game, it will be, I do believe it's yes, it is Kevin Harlan, Trent Green, and Melanie Collins. They will be in Cincinnati for this one. And Cincinnati also opening up as a 6.5-point favorite, just like Baltimore. Houston, however, leads the all-time series 6-5. Their last meeting was 2020 in Houston. Cincinnati won a wild one, 37-31. Last meeting in Cincinnati was 2017, and the Houston Texans actually won that game 13-9. This may be hard to believe, but the Houston Texans have actually done very well in Cincinnati. Matter of fact, they have won 4 consecutive meetings in Cincinnati. The Bengals have not beaten the Texans at home since 2005, if you can imagine that. So with that, let's get into our number 2 game of the week on our side of the ledger. As soon as I can find it here. Okay. The Bengals know better than to overlook Houston quarterback C.J. Stroud, who is coming off a 470-yard, 5-touchdown performance against Tampa Bay. Houston leads the league in fewest turnovers per drive, and the Bengals are 4th in the NFL in turnovers forced per drive. Another thing to watch, Houston is 2nd in the NFL in team pass rush win rate at about 58%. The Texans defense will hold the Bengals to fewer than 300 yards. In the Bengals' 4-game winning streak, they're 13th in total offense, 348 yards a game. But injuries to the Bengals receivers Jamar Chase and T. Higgins should impact the production of Cincinnati quarterback Joe Burrow and the Bengals offense as a whole. The Bengals are 4-0 since week 5 with a plus 9.5 points a game differential, 3rd best mark in the NFL over that span. They are one of 2 teams undefeated in that time, the other being the Jacksonville Jaguars. The X factor is Texans edge rushers Jonathan Greenard and Will Anderson Jr. Putting pressure on Burrow would be the easiest way to slow a red-hot Bengals passing attack, and both Greenard and Anderson rank in the top 15 in pass rush win rate. Texans tight end Dalton Schultz set career highs in both catches 10 and receiving yards 130 against Tampa Bay last week. He'll face a Bengal defense that gives up the 2nd most fantasy points to tight ends. There should be plenty of passing volume against Cincinnati because the Texans are sizable underdogs. Texans are 4-1 against the spread as underdogs with 4 straight covers. They are 8-2 against the spread in their last 10 games as underdogs. Cincinnati, the FPI favorite, 65% by an average of 5.3 points. I'm going with the Cincinnati Bengals to win this game. Close game, but don't sleep on Houston. I think Houston can give Cincinnati a game, but I think ultimately Cincinnati will pull away and win it. 33-24, Cincinnati defeats Houston, keeps their winning ways going. So not much more to say here. So MF, our number 2 game of the week, the Houston Texans and the Cincinnati Bengals. Bengals expected to be this good. What about the Houston Texans, though? I mean, look what they did against Tampa last week. C.J. Stroud especially.
Dude, this is C.J. Stroud could be Rookie of the Year. That's how good he's been. And if you want to talk about it, man, can we give D'Amico Ryan some votes for Coach of the Year, especially after what he's been doing this year? I mean, that is absolutely phenomenal what they've been doing. I will say this. At the end, I do believe Cincinnati is going to win the game, but I'm with you. I think this is going to be a very close, tight battle all the way to the very end. So I think like a 31-27 Cincinnati wins, but I don't overlook the Houston Texans, man. They are ahead of schedule of, this was supposed to be a rebuilding year for the team. This was supposed to be the start of a rebuild for this squad, and they have this kind of a win now mentality. I'm going to say this. Give them the money, give them some better players, and I can say next year, maybe the year after that, we're looking at maybe the Houston Texans being a playoff squad. That's how good they are. So nothing more to say. Anthony Floyo, it's yours.
Here comes another good one for you, MF. As MF will be starting off on our next game. You could call this the number 2 game of the week on the Fox side of the ledger, behind the Cleveland-Baltimore cross-flex. And who knows, maybe this could very possibly be a Super Bowl preview. You never know. We could see these two teams in Las Vegas if you think about it. The San Francisco 49ers squaring off against the Jacksonville Jaguars, TIAA Bank Field in Jacksonville. You can find this game over on Fox, and on the call for this one, it will be, I believe, Joe Davis's crew is working this game. Let's just confirm that. Yep, Joe Davis. Joe Davis back from his baseball playoff commitments. He's reunited with his crew, Daryl Moose Johnston and Pam Oliver. And San Francisco opening up as a 3-point favorite. San Francisco leads the all-time series 4-2. Here's the thing when it comes to this matchup. The Jacksonville Jaguars won the first 2 meetings against San Francisco. The 49ers have won the last 4 in a row. Last meeting was 2 years ago in Jacksonville. San Francisco won going away 30-10. Jacksonville last beat San Francisco overall and at home in 2005. That was an ugly game, 10-9 in the final there. So not much more to say here. MF, you started off on this one. San Francisco, Jacksonville, number 2 game of the week on Fox. Possible Super Bowl preview, maybe?
It's possible if the Niners can get their ducks in a row. Deebo Samuel still hurt. Game time decision right now. He is questionable to play. We don't know where his health is. A lot of the starters for the Niners have been hurt. We don't know where they're going to go. Jacksonville has been looking really good. They've been on a hot streak. Trevor Lawrence is starting to look like the Trevor Lawrence of Clemson days, where he was the former national champion. At the end of the day, we're going to see how this plays out. But you got to go with the team with the hot hand. And right now, that's the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Niners have lost 3 in a row. They looked really bad in all their losses. So I kind of have to feel like Jacksonville's going to win this one. And they're at home. Giving the Jacksonville Jaguars to pull the upset over the 49ers and win the game in Jacksonville. Anthony, it's yours.
Whoa. Okay. This game will be the first look at the 49ers, Nick Bosa, Chase Young pass rush combination. The 49ers traded for Chase Young with 5 sacks to boost a pass rush that ranks 24th in the NFL with 18 sacks. They'll be facing Jaguars rookie right tackle Anton Harrison and veteran left tackle Cam Robinson, who have combined to allow 10 of the team's 19 sacks. Getting the ball out quickly is going to be a priority for quarterback Trevor Lawrence, who is on pace to be sacked a career-high 40 times this year. Deebo Samuel returns from a shoulder injury and goes over 100 scrimmage yards with a touchdown. The Jaguars play more zone coverage than any team in the league, and though they tackle well, the openings in that zone have met allowing an average of 135 yards after the catch per game, 5th most in the league. Samuel should be fresh after the downtime and poised to take advantage of some cracks in that zone. Jaguars are 4-0 versus teams that ended with a winning record, which is tied with Philadelphia for most such wins without a loss. They have allowed 14.3 points a game in those 4 games, tied for fourth lowest in the NFL. The X factor is 49ers quarterback Brock Purdy. He's only 14th in QBR since week 6, and the Jaguars have a good defense that is 4th in EPA per play and top 10 against both the run and the pass. Over the last 3 games, the 49ers defense has allowed the 7th most passing yards a game. Given this recent statistical trend, managers should not hesitate to start Trevor Lawrence or wide receivers Christian Kirk and Calvin Ridley. It'll be interesting to see what adjustments the 49ers have made during the bye week. 49ers are 2-9 against the spread in their last 11 games off a bye, 2-4 against the spread under their coach Kyle Shanahan. San Francisco is the FPI favorite, 56% by an average of 2.1 points. This is a tough one to call, but I'm actually going to take a chance and go with San Francisco to win this game. I'm going to call this my bold prediction of the week. I'm going to say San Francisco steals this one. I'm going to say 30-27. San Francisco defeats Jacksonville in what should be a great game. But if Jacksonville were to win, I absolutely would not be surprised. Not at all. So with that being said, let's move on to our next matchup. We got the New Orleans Saints squaring off against the Minnesota Vikings, US Bank Stadium in Minneapolis. This game also going to be on Fox, and on the call for this game will be Adam Amin, Mark Schlereth, and Christina Pink. And the spread favors New Orleans. New Orleans opening up as a 3-point favorite. Minnesota leads the all-time series 20-12. Their last meeting was last year in London, and Minnesota won 28-25. Saints last beat the Vikings in 2020, 52-33 in the Superdome. Wild game there. And the last time the Saints won in Minnesota was 2018. New Orleans winning in Minnesota 30-20. So let's dive on into this matchup. It's got to find it here. Okay. Can the Vikings defense continue its strong play? It ranks number 3 in defensive efficiency during the Vikings 4-game winning streak against Saints quarterback Derek Carr. Over the same period, Carr has led the NFL in passing yards, 1,175, and he has eclipsed 300 yards in his last 2 road games. Vikings quarterback Joshua Dobbs will set a season high in rushing yards, rushing for at least 70 yards. The Saints have struggled to contain quarterback runs, with Chicago's Tyson Bagent, 70 yards, and Jacksonville quarterback Trevor Lawrence, 59 yards, giving the run defense trouble. Dobbs had 66 rushing yards against Atlanta last week in his first game with Minnesota, and has had at least 40 rushing yards in 6 games between the Vikings and the Cardinals. He can easily hit 70 yards unless the Saints fix their quarterback run issue this week. Alvin Kamara has 7 rushing touchdowns in 3 games against Minnesota in his career, which is tied for his most versus any team. He has 7 in 12 career games against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Kamara had 6 rushing touchdowns against Minnesota on Christmas Day 2020, the most rushing touchdowns in a single game in NFL history. The X factor is Saints cornerback Paulson Adebo. He deserves love for his 4 interceptions, including 2 last week. Adebo has the 5th lowest yards per coverage snap allowed among outside corners with at least 200 coverage snaps per NFL Next Gen stats. That indicates strong play-to-play performance beyond the picks. With 14 red zone possessions over the last 3 weeks, the Saints are tied for 2nd in the league. Over that period, New Orleans ranks 3rd in pass attempts a game. This season, the Vikings give up the 9th most fantasy points per game to wide receivers. Vikings have covered 4 straight games. You want to talk about the closest FPI ever? Listen to this, MF. They give it to Minnesota 49.9% by an average of 0 points. That sounds like a pick 'em to me. I'm going with New Orleans. I got to go with New Orleans here. I'm going to say final score will be 24-21. New Orleans steals one here, but I would not be surprised if Minnesota won, considering Joshua Dobbs' heroic effort in Atlanta last week. So New Orleans, I got to go New Orleans for right now, 24-21. So not much more to say. MF, New Orleans and Minnesota. Joshua Dobbs, he's now the man in Minnesota, especially after that heroic effort against Atlanta. Can he keep that going against New Orleans? I'm not sure.
Yeah, this is going to be a big, tougher battle for him, no doubt about it. And to me personally, I also feel like New Orleans is going to win the game as well. So give me the Saints, and Florio, back to you.
All right, MF, and you'll be leading off on our next game here. As we have 2 early games left. They're both on our side of the ledger. Matter of fact, the next 4 games are going to be all on our side of the ledger. So let's enjoy it. Next up is our number 4 game of the week. This game came in at number 4 on our side of the ledger. A battle of two of the most iconic franchises and 2 of the most successful franchises in NFL history. The Green Bay Packers squaring off against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Acrisure Stadium, formerly Heinz Field in Pittsburgh. On the call for CBS, it'll be Ian Eagle, Charles Davis, and Evan Washburn. They will have it. And Pittsburgh opening up as a 3-point favorite. Green Bay leads the all-time series 19-16. Their last meeting was 2021 in Green Bay. Green Bay won 27-17. Last meeting in Pittsburgh, 2017. Pittsburgh won a high-scoring game, 31-28. The Packers, wow. The Green Bay Packers have not won in Pittsburgh since all the way back in 1970. That's right, 1970. The last time Green Bay won in Pittsburgh. 20-12 was the final that day, 53 years ago. So not much more to say here. MF, number 4 game of the week for us. The Green Bay Packers coming off an impressive win against the Rams last week. Whereas Pittsburgh, they're right there in that loaded AFC North. I mean, it's them, Cleveland, and Cincy all at 5-3, chasing Baltimore at 7-2. So definitely some divisional implications here. But Green Bay and Pittsburgh, 2 of the most legendary and iconic and successful franchises of all time, and they square off on Sunday in our number 4 game of the week.
Yeah, no doubt about it. It's gonna be one of those kind of games, and we'll see how it plays out. But look, I've been having a major issue trying to understand what's gonna happen with this team. I'm not as convinced or not as confident about the Green Bay Packers as I was earlier in the year. I think Green Bay's struggling, so I gotta go with Pittsburgh just by default. So give me the Pittsburgh Steelers to win this game, and Anthony, I give it back to you.
All right. Both teams enter Sunday's meeting in the midst of a ground game resurgence. In Pittsburgh, the introduction of rookie Broderick Jones at right tackle helped key a season-high 166 rushing yards against Tennessee, while in Green Bay, a most healthy Aaron Jones with a hamstring posted season highs in carries 20 and yards 73. The Steelers' run defense, though, held Titans running back Derrick Henry to 75 yards a week ago, thanks in part to the return of defensive tackle Cameron Hayward. However, Sloan Jones and A.J. Dillon will be tougher after 3-down inside linebacker Cole Holcomb suffered a season-ending knee injury last week, and with nose tackle Montravius Adams dealing with an ankle injury. This will not be a 3-3 game at halftime. One of these putrid first-half offenses will get going early. Perhaps it's Green Bay, who broke a string of 5 straight games without a first-half touchdown last week. Still, the Packers' first-half point differential is minus 55, 30th in the NFL, and the Steelers is minus 43, 26th in the league. Steelers have the worst first-half yardage differential, minus 790, right behind Green Bay at minus 594. The Packers have not won in Pittsburgh since 1970, when Bart Starr, Hall of Famer Bart Starr, was the starting quarterback. They have lost 5 straight games at Pittsburgh since, with each of the last 2 coming on a winning score as time expired. The X factor is Packers right tackle Zach Tom. He'll be responsible for slowing TJ Watt, but Tom might be up for the challenge as he ranks 10th in pass block win rate at tackle. In the last 4 games against the Steelers defense, quarterbacks have averaged 11.8 fantasy points. This group includes Tennessee's Will Levis, Jacksonville's Trevor Lawrence, the LA Rams' Matthew Stafford, and Baltimore's Lamar Jackson. Temper your expectations if you have Green Bay's Jordan Love or Packers pass catchers in your lineup. Steelers are 3-0 outright and against the spread against teams with losing records. All 3 of those games went under the total. FPI likes Pittsburgh here, 60% by an average of 3.3 points. I'm going with Pittsburgh as well. I'm going to say 23-16. Pittsburgh defeats Green Bay and keeps their winning ways going and keeps pace in that loaded AFC North. Final early game of the week. It's our number 6 game of the week on our side of the ledger, as it will feature the Tennessee Titans squaring off against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers Raymond James Stadium in Tampa. And on the call for CBS, it will be Andrew Catalan, Tiki Barber, Matt Ryan, and AJ Ross. And Tampa Bay opening up as a 1-point favorite. Yep, only a 1-point spread for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And just bear with me as I pull up the went a little too far. Okay. And the history of these two, well, if it's a one-sided affair. Tennessee leads the all-time series 10-2. And Tennessee has won each of the last 3 meetings against Tampa Bay. Last meeting, 2019 in Nashville, Tennessee won 27-23. Last meeting in Tampa, 2015, Tennessee kicked the door down, made themselves at home, 42-14 beat down over Tampa Bay in 15. Tampa Bay's last win against Tennessee overall and at home, 2007, 13-10. So with that, let's get into our number 6 game of the week and our final early game here. In the midst of a 4-game slide, the Bucs defense surrendered 470 yards and 5 touchdowns to Houston quarterback C.J. Stroud last week in a record-setting performance for the rookie. Now they get second-round pick Will Levis, who threw 4 touchdown passes against Atlanta 2 weeks ago, but struggled under duress from Pittsburgh last week. Levis will record his first 300-yard passing game. The Titans haven't had a 300-yard passer since Ryan Tannehill finished with 333 yards against Green Bay Week 9 last year. Levis has shown flashes in his first 2 starts. There should be plenty of opportunities against the Buccaneer pass defense that is allowing 279 passing yards a game, which is 31st in the NFL. The Buccaneers' 4-game losing streak is tied for their longest in a single season over the last 5 seasons. The other, of course, was in 2019 from weeks 5 to 9. If they lose Sunday, it will be their longest losing streak since they lost 5 straight, weeks 12 to 16 in 2017. The X factor is Buccaneers guard Cody Mauch. He'll be primarily responsible for stopping Titans defensive tackle Jeffrey Simmons, and on paper, this looks like a mismatch. Mauch ranks 59th out of 70 qualifiers in pass block win rate at guard. He's 54th in run block win rate at the position as well. Levis has a passer rating of 132.3 when targeting DeAndre Hopkins over the last 2 games. During that time, the veteran receiver has stockpiled 17 targets. Hopkins faces a Buccaneers defense that gives up the second most fantasy points per game to wide receivers. Titans are 7-0-1 against the spread in their last 8 meetings. Tampa Bay, however, is the FPI favorite, 55%, by an average of 1.6 points. I'm going with Tampa Bay to win this game, 23-17, but I wouldn't be surprised if Tennessee won. So this one literally can go either way, but I'm taking a chance on Tampa here, 23-17. So not much more to say. MF, take us home with the early games.
Yeah, and I'm in an agreement with that as well, Anthony. I kind of feel like Tampa Bay should win this game. It's not going to be the most convincing win, but I do believe they'll have enough of the horses to get the job done and get to the finish line. So yeah, give me that game as well. Nothing more to say. Anthony, it's yours.
All right, and we move on to the late games. We only have 4. There's 2 on CBS at 4:05 and 2 on Fox at 4:25. We start first with the 4:05 game on CBS, the first of the 2. It's the Zonk game of the week on our side of the ledger, as it will feature the Atlanta Falcons squaring off against the Arizona Cardinals, State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona. That game, of course, on CBS, and it'll be Spiro Ditas, Adam Archuleta, and Amanda Renner on the call for that one. Atlanta opening up as a 1.5-point favorite, and in the series history, it favors. Well, I just had it. Okay. It's actually tied. The series is tied 16-16. So whoever wins will take the lead in the overall regular season series. They last met last year in Atlanta. Atlanta won 20-19. Last meeting in Arizona, 2019. Arizona winning a high-scoring game, 34-33. Atlanta has not won in Arizona since all the way back in 2001. 2001, the last time Atlanta won in Arizona, back when they were playing at the old Sun Devil Stadium. 34-14 was the final that day. So, MF, I'm sorry. I hate to do it to you, but you lead off on the Zonk game of the week on our side of the ledger, Atlanta and Arizona.
Yeah, this is it's a tough game. It's a tough game to call. This is a tough battle. I think Atlanta could win this one. I'm not 100% about it. Would I be shocked if Arizona wins? No, because Arizona has pulled a couple of big wins along the way on their side. So, yes, I do believe Atlanta wins. I'm going to go with the FPI and everybody else, but I'm not as totally convinced like a lot of people are. So, Anthony, this could go either way, but Arizona, I think they'll make it a gallant effort. I just don't see them getting over the hump. I think Atlanta will have just enough to get over the hurdle and win this game. So, Anthony, it's yours.
Cardinals quarterback Kyler Murray is set to make his 2023 debut, barring any potential setback. It will be exactly 11 months since he last played, in Week 14 last season, when he tore his ACL on Monday Night Football against the New England Patriots. As his welcome back gift, he'll face the 6th-ranked Falcons defense, which is ranked in the top 10 in passing yards allowed per game and per play. Both Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier will top 75 yards rushing, and each will score a touchdown. In what feels like a must-win game for Atlanta, they return their focus to what they do best against a Cardinal team that has allowed more than 100 yards rushing in 7 of their last 8 games. The Cardinals' 6-game losing streak is the NFL's longest active streak. Arizona's 1-15 record since Week 11 last season is the worst in the league. Another loss would put the Cardinals at 1-16 in their last 17 games, their worst record over a 17-game span, since they also went 1-16 all the way back in 1946. The X factor can only be one guy. It's Kyler Murray. How could it not be? Will Kyler Murray be rusty? His old self, but with less rushing? Arizona's fortunes, both in this game and the rest of the season, and perhaps for years to come, depend on the answers to those questions. Cardinals wide receiver Marquise Brown and Kyler Murray have meshed in their few games together as Arizona Cardinals, as Murray has averaged 21.1 fantasy points in the 8 games he has played with Brown. So both the quarterback and the wide receiver might benefit against the Falcons. Falcons are 0-5 against the spread in their last 5 games as favorites, 1-5 against the spread as favorites this season. Since 2018, the Falcons are 13-26 against the spread as favorites, 6-11 against the spread under their current coach, Arthur Smith. Atlanta, the FPI favorite, 57% by an average of 2.5 points. I'm going with the Atlanta Falcons to win this game as well. 23-20, Atlanta over Arizona. We now move on to our game of the week. The game of the week on our side of the ledger, also at 4:05 on CBS. The Detroit Lions squaring off against the Los Angeles Chargers, SoFi Stadium, Inglewood, California. Hello, friends. Jim Nantz, Tony Romo, and Tracy Wolfson will have the call. Detroit opening up as a 3-point favorite. And the series history between these two, it favors the Chargers. LA Chargers lead the all-time series 7-5. Their last meeting was 2019 in Detroit. Detroit won 13-10. Last time the Chargers were the home team, it was in 2015 when they were the San Diego Chargers. The Chargers won that game 33-28. Here's the thing. The Detroit Lions have never won at the Chargers. They've never won in San Diego or in Los Angeles. All five times Detroit beat the Chargers, they were in Detroit. So very interesting to say the very least. So with that, let's break this game down. Our game of the week on our side of the ledger. Very interesting matchup. Sunday will be something of a reunion for Chargers coach Brandon Staley and Detroit quarterback Jared Goff. Staley used to coach against Goff daily at practice when he was defensive coordinator for the LA Rams in 2020, and Goff was the Rams starting quarterback. That 2020 season was the last season with the Rams for both. Goff was traded to Detroit, and Staley became coach of the LA Chargers. On Sunday, they will face off for the first time since. Detroit rookie running back Jahmyr Gibbs will rush for 100 yards or more for a second straight game. Although the Chargers defense is holding teams to only 90 rushing yards a game, which is tied for sixth in the NFL, Gibbs will continue to shine as he builds off his breakout performance on Monday Night Football in Week 8 when he rushed for a career best 152 yards on 26 carries. Gibbs, the number 12 overall pick, is confident, and the Lions want to continue to keep him involved. The Chargers' +9 turnover margin is tied with the Cincinnati Bengals for the best in the NFL. They have played 11 straight games without losing the turnover battle, the longest active streak in the NFL, and the longest streak since 2004, 14 straight. The X factor is Chargers wide receiver Quentin Johnston. Beating the New York Jets with a shorthanded receiving core is one thing. The Lions are a whole other ballgame. And with Mike Williams and Joshua Palmer hurt, the Chargers really need Johnston to step up. So far, it has not happened. The Lions offense ranks 24th in red zone efficiency. It was something offensive coordinator Ben Johnson focused on during the bye week. The Lions, who ranked 9th in points per game, could be even more successful with a revamped red zone package against a Charger defense that ranks 16th in red zone efficiency. The Lions are 16-3 against the spread in games in November or later under coach Dan Campbell, 9-1 against the spread last season. But believe it or not, the FPI actually likes the LA Chargers in this one, 59% by an average of 3.1 points. With all due respect, I disagree. I got to go to the Detroit Lions. I think Detroit wins this game. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. 34-27, the Detroit Lions outlast the LA Chargers in what I believe will be a high-scoring shootout in SoFi. And MF and I can't wait to call it. So not much more to say. MF, come on in. Our game of the week, the Detroit Lions and the LA Chargers in SoFi. Chargers, back-to-back impressive wins, albeit against the Chicago Bears and the New York Jets. Yeah. But, of course, the Detroit Lions, who currently sit, oh, by the way, as the number 2 seed in the NFC right now, only behind Philadelphia, looking to keep their magical season going. So, obviously, something's got to give in this one. So, Phil Simms to my Jim Nance, as always, do that thing I like. Hello, friends.
Yeah, and the thing is with this one is it's going to be a battle. This is going to be a great game, a great fight. The question now becomes is, what are we going to see? What are we looking at? What is we talk about Detroit and, they had that one bad game against Baltimore not too long ago. What are they going to be looking like down the line? I think this is going to be a great battle, and, this is going to be a great test for them. The Chargers, like you said, yes, it's not the greatest factor, not the greatest story. They won 2 games, but they haven't really been tested yet. The last major test they had was against Kansas City, and Kansas City robbed them. So, what are we going to get? I say Detroit wins. I think Detroit is not afraid of the moment, and I think that they will get the big victory here. So, yeah, I think they're going to continue their great run. So, give me the Lions to win it. Florio, back to you.
All right, MF, we now move on to the 425 games, and you'll start off on this one. With all due respect to the people of Fox, this next game is absolutely positively not worthy of the America's Game of the Week moniker. If it was up to me, I would have flexed this game out, and I would have put Cleveland-Baltimore here, because Cleveland-Baltimore is the far better game. I get it. I get it that it's a big time divisional rivalry. I get it in the whole 9, but it is absolutely not worthy of America's Game of the Week status. No, absolutely not. All right, now that I got that off my chest, let's get into it anyways. As it will be the New York Giants squaring off against the Dallas Cowboys from from AT&T Stadium, Jerry World in Arlington. And the A team's calling this game. Yes, they are. Kevin Burkhardt, Greg Olson, Aaron Andrews, Tom Rinaldi. They will be in Dallas for this one. Dallas is the largest favorite of the week. 17.5 point spread for Dallas. 17.5. They nailed that one, boy. They nailed it spot on. They met earlier this year. We all remember it was on opening night, week number 1 on Sunday Night Football. And the Dallas Cowboys kicked the door down and made themselves at home in the Meadowlands. 40-0 beatdown. I think we all remember that. Dallas now adds to their all-time series lead. It's now 74-46 with 2 ties, including that beatdown in week 1. Cowboys have now won 5 straight against the Giants. The Giants have not won in Dallas. Looks like 2016 was the last time. Yeah, 2016. That was the last time the Giants won in Dallas. Cowboys have won in Dallas every year for the last 6 years running. So there isn't anything else for me to say on this. MF, is this game really worthy of America's Game of the Week status? No.
Well, the thing is this: when the schedule makers made these games, and the committees decided that this was going to be, this is the television networks and everything else. This is one of those situations where, like the Thursday night game, the league made the schedule thinking this was going to be a lot more better because of the teams that are involved. And basically, unfortunately, at least in the way of the New York Giants, they did not hold their end of the bargain. They did not hold their end on what was going on. And that's why we got the mess that we're in. So, yes, on paper, lineage, history, whatever, it screams Game of the Week. It screams America's Game of the Week. However, based off the play and the performance of this season, it's not. And that's why we got what we got. I'll say this, and here's a kicker. That 40-0 beatdown in week 1, Anthony, the worst shutout loss for either side in the 63-year history of this rivalry between these two teams. Daniel Jones is out, season-ending knee injury, suffered last week, toward the ACL. There's nothing more to say. Cowboys win in a romp. Florio, go.
Lock of the week, right?
Lock of the week.
Same here. But we have a promise. We made a promise and a commitment to you all that we're going to give you the best coverage, even on dud games, and we're going to do just that. Dak Prescott has won 11 straight games against the Giants after losing both games to New York as a rookie. He has 23 touchdown passes against the Giants, the most against any team. It seems likely he'll get to 12 consecutive wins, as the Giants will start undrafted rookie Tommy DeVito at quarterback with Daniel Jones out for the season because of a torn ACL. Cowboys are 3-0 at AT&T Stadium with an average margin of victory of 26 points. The bold prediction, the Giants will hold Dallas under 20 points. Let's consider last week in Las Vegas a blip on the radar. New York's defense had allowed 33 points in the previous 3 games, which included a matchup with Josh Allen in Buffalo. This group has pride, and the game plan will be to slow down this contest. The Giants will do that with their defense and running game with Saquon Barkley. The Cowboys are 10-1 following a loss since the start of the 2021 season, best win percentage in the NFL. Dallas has outscored its opponents by more than 16 points a game in that situation, 32.4 to 16.3, and has a plus 17 turnover differential. The Cowboys have not suffered consecutive regular season losses since weeks 11 and 12 of the 2021 season. The X factor is Giants edge rusher Kayvon Thibodeau. It seems hard to imagine the Giants scoring on offense, so they probably will need pick sixes or strip sacks galore to have a chance. Thibodeau has 8.5 sacks. CeeDee Lamb shares a Cowboys franchise record with Hall of Famer Michael Irvin for the most games with 10 catches and 150 receiving yards, each achieving this feat 3 times. In his career, Lamb has averaged 16 fantasy points a game against the Giants. Giants games are 8-1 to the under, the highest under percentage in the NFL. Giants games have gone under the total in 7 straight games, the longest active streak. Needless to say, Dallas is the biggest FPI favorite of the week. How big? 90%. That's right, 90% going with the Dallas Cowboys by an average of 17 points. Lock of the week, Dallas is going to roll all over the Giants. I wouldn't be surprised if they do the same thing to them like they did in week 1, but I'm going to be a little more generous. 40-3, the Cowboys all over the Giants.
Have we ever had an FPI over 90%? I think this is one of the rare times where we've had. I don't ever remember an FPI at a 90% clip. Like, I think this is the highest I've ever seen it, or remember you saying about an FPI
90
being that high up.
It's 90.
Yeah.
Well, 89, 80. It's 89.8, but you know me, I like to round it up.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah.
So it's technically 89.8, but I'm bumping that sucker up to 90. And the average margin was 17.1 points. So yeah, 40-3. Dallas all over the Giants. Lock of the week, no question. The other 425 game, well, this one's a little more exciting. It's the Washington Commanders squaring off against the Seattle Seahawks from Lumen Field in Seattle. You can find this game over on Fox. Kevin Kugler, Mark Sanchez, Laura Oakman. They were opening up as a 6-point favorite. And the series history, bear with me, disappeared on me. Yeah, I see nothing but blank screen. Oh, okay, there we go. We got it now. Okay. The series history between these two, it favors Washington. The Washington Commanders lead the all-time series 13-6. Their last meeting was 2021 in Washington. Washington won 17-15. Last meeting in Seattle, 2017. The then Washington Redskins won the game 17-14. Last time Seattle beat Washington in Seattle, it wasn't even a regular season game. It was a playoff game. It was the NFC wildcard game in January of 2008, part of the 2007 season. Seattle won 35-14. Seattle hasn't beaten Washington at home in a regular season game since all the way back in 1998, 24-14 at the old Kingdom. So let's dive on into this one. Seahawks quarterback Geno Smith is mired in a turnover funk with 6 interceptions plus 2 lost fumbles over the last 4 games. Not all of those were Smith's fault, and the Seahawks' offensive issues go well beyond their quarterback. After one of the worst losses of the Pete Carroll era last week, the Seahawks have a bounce-back opportunity against the Commanders' 28th ranked defense, which is allowing 369 yards a game. Washington traded 2 big defensive threats, defensive ends Montez Sweat to Chicago and Chase Young to San Francisco at the deadline. Seattle will have 3 pass plays of 25 yards or more, with receiver Tyler Lockett grabbing 2 of those, 1 for a touchdown. Washington has allowed 22 pass plays of 25 yards or more, second most in the NFL, and it would have been more had New England executed better on several opportunities last week. The Seahawks have only 16 such pass plays, 14th in the league, but preventing these plays has been the Commanders' number 1 issue on defense. Seahawks linebacker Boye Mafe has 6 straight games with at least 1 full sack, tied for the longest streak by a Seahawks player since 1982, when sacks became official. Michael Sinclair had 6 straight from 1997 to 1998. He faces Washington quarterback Sam Howell, who has been sacked a league high 44 times. The X Factor, Commanders cornerback Benjamin St. Just. Benjamin St. Just. Kender Fuller is having a very nice season, but the Seahawks have two great receivers who need stopping in DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. St. Just's numbers haven't been good. He's allowing 1.7 yards per coverage snap per NFL Next Gen stats, fourth most among outside corners with at least 200 coverage snaps. Quarterbacks have scored the second most fantasy points per game against the Commander defense. However, over the last 4 games, the Seahawks have scored a touchdown on just 13% of their drives. Smith's fantasy ceiling could be low in this game unless this improves. Commanders are 4-0 against the spread as road underdogs. They are 4-1 against the spread overall on the road. Commanders are also 8-2-2 against the spread in their last 12 games as underdogs. Seattle, big FPI favorite, 63.5%. Round that up to 64% for Seattle. Average margin by about 5 points. I'm going with the Seattle Seahawks to win this game. Final score for me, I'm going to say 28-21. Seattle defeats Washington. So not much more to say. MF, your thoughts as we close out the late games.
Yeah, I'm agreed here. I think Seattle's definitely going to win the game as well. There's really nothing more to add there. So let's get into the night cappers.
Yes, sir. Sunday Night Football starts it off. Sunday night, 8:20 kickoff on NBC. And I X'd out the wrong tab. I apologize for that. Okay, there we go. All right, I got the one I needed back. So, okay. All right. And this game clocked in as our number 3 game of the week. Sleeper game of the week, if you really think about it. Sunday Night Football on NBC. It's a matchup featuring the New York Jets squaring off against the Las Vegas Raiders from the home of Super Bowl 58 next February. That being, of course, Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas, Nevada. On the call for this, as always, can only be one crew. Sunday Night Football, Mike Tirico, Chris Collinsworth, and Melissa Stark. The Jets opening up as only a 1-point favorite. So we're looking at another pick'em type game here. Just trying to find it here. Okay. Both of these teams, of course, going back to their AFL days, so there's definitely a lot of history here. The Raiders lead the all-time series 24-18 with 2 ties. Those ties came in 1965 in New York, 24-24, and the other came in 1966, 28-28 in Oakland. Last meeting was 2020 in New York. Raiders won 31-28. Last time the Raiders were the home team, they were the Oakland Raiders in 2017. Raiders won that game going away 45-20. The Jets have not won at the Raiders since they were the Oakland Raiders in 2009. Jets won going away 38-0. So, not much more to say here. MF, we got the Jets, we got the Raiders. Sunday Night Football, Jets. Oh, last Monday night against the LA Chargers. Hoofa. Whereas the Las Vegas Raiders, whoa, look what they did against the Giants. Antonio Pierce, he ain't messing around.
No, and this is why I really like this team. I like the identity of this Raider squad. They established the run early and often. The defense was locked down. Antonio Pierce was a really good coach, man. He was ready for the moment and shined like I've never seen before. Impressive performance, no doubt about it in my mind. I think they can keep it. I think this is going to be a very good battle. Obviously, the Jets defense is going to keep this closer than the first time around, but I do believe the Raiders are going to find their way, and I think they're going to win this game. So for me, I think the final score is going to be 21-13. Give me the Raiders to knock off the Jets. Anthony, it's yours.
All right. Whoops, bear with me for a moment. It went up on me. Okay. While Raiders interim coach Antonio Pierce has made it a point to emphasize that he is not the story, there has been an immediate and noticeable change in culture in silver and blackdom under his watch, and the players have reacted accordingly. From Pierce's defensive mindset The Raiders had 8 sacks in his debut. To the way the Jets reflect coach Robert Saleh, New York has the number 3 ranked passing defense in the league. Expect a slugfest. Pierce said, "It ain't going to be a shootout, I can tell you that. The best part about it, me and Robert don't play against one another. He's got to get Devontae Adams. I've got to worry about Quinnen Williams and all those guys that they've got on their side of the ball." Jets quarterback Zach Wilson and Raiders quarterback Aiden O'Connell will combine for fewer than 300 passing yards. The Jets won't have any problem with the Las Vegas rookie after holding the Chargers' Justin Herbert to a career-low 136 yards. Likewise, the Raiders will limit Wilson, who has posted fewer than 200 yards in 5 of 8 games. Don't be surprised if the Jets turn to Tim Boyle if Wilson fails to generate offense in the first half. The Jets have had 8 offensive touchdowns, the fewest in the NFL, and tied for the 3rd fewest in their first 8 games of a season in franchise history. The only seasons when they had fewer offensive touchdowns through 8 games were in 1976 and 2020. 7 in both of those seasons. The X factor is the Jets' offensive line. Let's be clear. Zach Wilson is the Jets' number 1 problem right now. But the offensive line has to make his life easier as well. It should be able to do that against a weak Raiders pass rush. The Jets' defense allows the fewest fantasy points a game to wide receivers. Because of this, New York's defense allows running backs to score the 10th most fantasy points a game. But the Jets rank 3rd in run-stop win rate. Josh Jacobs has averaged 16 fantasy points a game in 69 games, in which he has had 15 or more touches. Raiders have covered 3 straight home games. All 4 Raiders home games have gone under the total. FPI actually likes the Jets in this one. They're giving the Jets the benefit of the doubt here. 56% for the Jets by an average of about 2 points. But I agree with MF. I'm going with the Las Vegas Raiders to win this game. The score just about the same, but I got it a smidgen lower. I'm going to say 20-13. The Las Vegas Raiders defeat the New York Jets on Sunday night. Final game of the night, our number 5 game of the week on our side of the ledger, Monday Night Football on ESPN, 8:15, as it will be the Denver Broncos squaring off against my Buffalo Bills, Highmark Stadium in Buffalo. Joe Buck, Troy Aikman, Lisa Salters, they will have the call, as always, on Monday Night Football. And the series history between these two, Buffalo leads the all-time series 22-16 with a tie. The one tie came in their second all-time meeting in 1960, a 38-38 tie in Denver. Buffalo has won the last 3 meetings against Denver. Last meeting was 2020 in Denver. Buffalo stomped Denver 48-19. And oh, by the way, in that win, the Buffalo Bills won the AFC. They clinched the AFC Eastern Division that year. Last meeting in Buffalo was in 2019. Buffalo won that one also handily, 20-3. The Denver Broncos have not won in Buffalo since 2007. That was a 15-14 ugly win. But Buffalo has won the last 3 meetings in a row in Buffalo against Denver and the last 3 overall. So here we go. Both of these offenses are looking to buck some unwanted trends. For the Bills, they're looking to win the turnover battle for the first time since smashing Miami in Week 4. On the Broncos side, primetime has not been kind to quarterback Russell Wilson, who is averaging 12 points a game in 5 primetime starts with Denver, 4th lowest through a player's first 5 primetime starts with a franchise since the AFL-NFL merger in 1970. Von Miller will do his best to remind his former team why he is one of the best defensive players in the franchise's history by recording 2 sacks. Miller has just 1 quarterback hit and no sack since his return last month from a torn ACL he suffered last Thanksgiving against Detroit. But this is the first time he has faced Denver since Denver traded him just before the 2021 trade deadline. Miller had all 8 of his Pro Bowl seasons with Denver, totaled 110.5 sacks in his 10 years with the team, and turned in one of the best defensive performances in Super Bowl history when he was named MVP of Super Bowl 50, the last playoff game the Broncos played in. Broncos have lost 7 consecutive Monday Night Football games second longest active streak in the NFL. Only the New York Giants have lost 8 straight. The X factor is new Bills cornerback Rasul Douglas. The Bills' pass defense needs help. Understatement of the year. Since week 6, it ranks 29th in EPA per dropback allowed. Someone has to step up. And Douglas, the player acquired from Green Bay at the trade deadline, is a logical person to provide improvement. The Broncos have allowed the second most fantasy points a game to tight ends. After Dawson Knox's injury, fantasy managers should start Bills tight end Dalton Kincaid, who has scored 15 or more fantasy points in 3 consecutive games. You should not overlook running back James Cook, because no other defense gives up more fantasy points per game to running backs than the Denver Broncos. The Bills are 0-5 against the spread in their last 5 games, longest active streak in the NFL, and the Bills' longest streak since a 6-game streak from 1976 to 77. Buffalo is the second highest FPI of the week, 79% going with the Buffalo Bills by an average of about 11 points. Of course, I'm going to go with the Buffalo Bills as well. 30-17, Buffalo gets back on track. They'll defeat Denver. And then they get the Jets next. And then the Jets come in after that. So before I give it to MF, I'll simply say this as a Bills fan. I'm very disappointed as of what I've been seeing over the last month or so. I mean, honestly, after Buffalo smashed Miami, I'll admit it, I was flying high. I was thinking, oh my God, this might be the team. This could be our best shot at a winner. But ever since that London game, man, oh my goodness, it has gone downhill and not in a good way. We've rotated wins and losses. Lost to Jacksonville, barely beat the Giants, lost to New England, barely got by Tampa Bay, barely lost to Cincinnati. And hey, let me tell you something. We hung with Cincinnati. But if it wasn't for Dalton Kincaid's fumble, that we could have won that game. Very easily could have. I was not expecting my team to be at a 5-4. If I'm going to be real honest with you, this team should be 7-2. This team should be right up there. They should be leading the AFC East, and they should be right up there in the upper echelon in the AFC. But if the season ended right now, they wouldn't even be in the playoffs. How disappointing would that be? That would be so disappointing for a team that had so much high expectations. And this is definitely a must-win game for Buffalo. They got to win this game. They win this and they get some help, then maybe they're back in the playoff race. But the sky is not falling yet, Bills Mafia. The sky is not falling yet. I still believe in this team. I'm not giving up on this team, even though I do want to push there's that part of me that wants to push the panic button, but I'm not ready to do that just yet. We got a couple of winnable games here with Denver coming in Monday night and then the Jets coming in after that. So both of those games at home, I feel good about those games. But then we got that murderer's row stretch after that. We got to play against Philly. We got to play against Kansas City. We got Dallas and so many tough games. And then, of course, Miami at the end of the year, which could determine the division. You don't know. But I still believe in this team, and I think they can get this done. 30-17. I hope they wake the F up, and I would love to see a vintage Buffalo Bills game here from what we've seen in this decade. So take care of business, do your job, and Monday night, do all that, beat the Jets, and then we can get back in this thing. So not much more to say. 30-17, Buffalo defeats Denver. So with that being said, MF, take it home. Denver and Buffalo, Monday night, number 5 game of the week. Definitely a must-win for Buffalo here.
Yeah, definitely must win for Buffalo. They got to really start to look a lot more better than they did in the last few weeks. I'm with you. I feel like Buffalo will win this game. They should turn it around. This should be a vintage Buffalo performance. Like you said, the schedule does not get easier for Buffalo right after the Jets game. And even the Jets game, you never know how that game plays out. Remember, they lost Aaron Rodgers early in the season, and Buffalo lost. Remember, that was Josh Allen, the 4 turnovers, and that late, the setup that gave the Jets the big win. So who knows? We'll see how it plays out. But yeah, I'm with you guys. So Buffalo wins, and Anthony, it's yours.
All right. And with that, that will put the bow on this week 10 edition of TXN Sports World NFL Friday. We want to thank you all so very much for tuning in as always. We'll be back with you tomorrow night, 10:30, over on MF's channel, Brace Fan 95. Cerebral Smack Talk. We got Friday Night SmackDown. We got AEW Collision. Monday night, we do it all again. Ridiculously Raw, right back here on the Tone 25. Monday Night Raw and my Tony's take on Impact Wrestling and NXT Level Up. Wednesday night, we got Wednesday Night Madness with MF, 10 p.m., as it will be NXT, AEW Dynamite, and a very exciting Thursday Night Football matchup, as we mentioned at the top of the show. The Cincinnati Bengals and the Baltimore Ravens. Great game there. And then Thursday night, 10 p.m. here on the Tone 25, Week 12 edition of College Football Thursday. Not many exciting games. We do have a few good ones on tap, but we'll get into that next week. And then from there, 1 week from tonight, the Week 11 edition of NFL Friday. 4 teams on bye. We have the Atlanta Falcons, the Indianapolis Colts, the New England Patriots, and the New Orleans Saints all on bye next week. We'll recap Bengals and Ravens. And then from there, we got quite a few good games on the tap for next week. We got the Pittsburgh Steelers against the Cleveland Browns. Big AFC North game there. Couple of sleeper games. Tennessee and Jacksonville. Vegas and Miami. Tampa Bay against San Francisco. You got the Jets and Buffalo. You got Seattle going up against the Rams. But, of course, the game of the week, next week, the main event, the rematch of Super Bowl 57 on Monday Night Football, the Philadelphia Eagles and the Kansas City Chiefs. Cross-flex anyone? I think so. So that's it. So until tomorrow night for the Cerebral Smack Talk, it's Anthony Florio here for Good Old MF, Michael Fletcher. And in spirit, of course, as always, Michael Bullock. And always and forever, the First Lady, Dee Dee Woodson. You know the routine, everybody. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah, throw it up Fortune 4 style. Bye for now, my friends. God bless. Be good to each other. Have a blessed Saturday. And until tomorrow night, for the Cerebral Smack Talk, you've been watching the Week 10 edition of TXN Sports World NFL Friday, right here on the Tone 25 on YouTube and StreamYard.com. For everybody who has been a part of this one, for now, Anthony Florio. So long, and bye, everybody. Bye.